a play matter, a declare play matter, and this is under you're hitting on a few items that for Woolsey fall under this category of being prepared, having a plan. We want you to have a plan before you open the bidding. Thinking about what your rebid's going to be. When you're playing a hand, we want you to have a plan for the play and to anticipate what might go wrong. And so we start with a hand that I think looks deceptively simple. This, by the way, is on page 159 in the book. So, and what we have here is a 4-spade contract by South, and whether you are counting your winners or counting your losers, it's pretty easy initially to get to the 10 tricks that you need to make 4 spades on this hand. We figure this looks like we have 6 trump tricks, right? With ace, king, queen, 6th, and 3 card support and dummies, so you're only missing 4 trumps. So it looks like 6 spade tricks, and you've got the ace, king of hearts, and both minor suit aces. Well, that's 10 right there. So that should be pretty simple, right? By the way, if you care, the opening lead is just a small club, presumably like a 4th best club. It's the opening lead that you're going to get. And so Woolsey takes us through kind of 3 levels of analysis on this one. What we just talked about was pretty much the first level of analysis. Hey, I've got 10 tricks. And then kind of supplements that with a statement that, and if something really unlikely and bad happens, i.e. a 4-0 trump break, I'll just deal with that when I discover it. Well, that's lazy. You are a lazy declarer if that is your approach. Say, I've probably got my 10 tricks and I don't have much to worry about. The 4-0 trump break is unlikely, very unlikely, but it will happen, a couple times in 100, right? So that's not really a good enough analysis. So we want to take this another level deeper.
I don't want to screw you up, but I think the lead's the king of clubs. Are you following this, or?
Is it king of clubs? He may say it's king of clubs.
So. He does, yeah.
Okay. That's fine. Doesn't necessarily matter a whole lot. The only other indicator is that if the king is led, that that the queen should be over there too. Because we assume the king is coming from king queen or king queen jack or king queen 10. We don't have any clubs to lose, so that's why I say we're not terribly concerned about which club it is. So if we take this to the next level, we count our initial 10 tricks, and then we say, well, what if trumps are 4-0? Is that something that we could overcome?
Yeah.
All right. So what if trumps break 4-0 and it is in fact East who has the 4 trumps? And let's be sure to notice that the spot cards become very important here. Let's see, Jack 10, what are we missing?
6, 4.
6 and 4. Okay, so those are the exact 4 cards that we're missing. All right. So let's say we win that opening club lead with the ace, and we immediately play a spade to the ace, and we just see this person follow small, and then it's West who shows out. So we find out at trick 2, uh-oh, I'm getting a bad break. And then you say, well, wait a minute. At least these trumps are all on my right. So I now have what we call a marked finesse on the Jack and 10. And with the marked finesse, all you need are dummy entries to pick those cards up, right? Well, you do have a couple of outside entries, right? So you could play a diamond to the ace, and then note that dummy has the 9 and 7, and the 8 is in your hand. So when you're over there on dummy the first time, if you play the 9, if they don't cover Jack or 10, you let it ride, because you know Jack and 10 are over there, and the 9 will hold the trick, and you'll be fine. Well, they'll probably split, right? They'll probably cover one of those honors to put you back in your hand. All right, so if it goes 9, 10, and you win the king, you use your dummy, other dummy entry, King of Hearts, and then you can play dummy's last remaining trump, which is the 7. Again, if they cover with the Jack, you play the queen, and now your 8 drops the little one, and you don't have to lose a trump. So, requires a little more work on your part, but as long as nothing really unexpected happens, and like that would be like if you let a diamond to your ace or a heart to your king, and this person ruffed, then they could still beat you, right? But that would be the next kind of the second level of analysis here, is asking yourself that question. Oh, what if trumps broke 4-0? Well, if it's the person on my right that has the 4, and then you see a way to deal with this. And at least the good thing about that is, so one of your 4-0 trump breaks, even if you haven't planned for that, as we'd like you to be, at least in the back of your mind, think that this is a possibility that this could happen. Even if you didn't think about that at trick 1, when you start drawing trumps at trick 2, the good news is it's not too late to recover, right? Because when you play a spade to your ace and get the bad news, you can pause for a second and say, oh wait, I can recover, I can handle this. Now, the hard one is if they break 4-0 and it's your left-hand opponent who has all 4 trumps, right? That's the one that you might be worried is hopeless. Now, there are some situations where you discover something while you're playing a hand that it is hopeless, and you know what I mean. Once if you reach a point on a hand where a suit is breaking so badly, or there's just absolutely no path to make it, then you just try your damage control. I mean, there have been times where I was playing with a partner and I knew we were in a horrible contract, whether that was by bidding misunderstanding or just a terrible lie of the cards. And partner sat there and sat there and sat there, and I'm just like, just get it over with. A disaster is a disaster. We are, we're here. We can't fix this. Don't hurt your head trying to figure out something that is never going to, that is never going to, come to fruition. I mean, if the contract can't be made, it can't be made. However, some of these can, and so when you get into the third level of analyzing declare play, ask yourself, do I still have a line to make this game if my left-hand opponent has 4 trumps? Well, you do. Possibly. It's not a guarantee. But to guard against this, you have to do something totally different that you might not think to do, and you have to do it at trick 1. how would you see counting the 10 tricks that you need if your left-hand opponent has 4 trumps and what looks to be a sure trump trick?
You need to make your 3 little trump good.
You need to score your 3 little ones somehow, right? Because if you could still, we know your ace, king, and queen are good, right? So those 3 spade tricks, no problem.
Oh, well.
And we still have the ace, king of hearts, and the ace of diamonds, and the ace of clubs, right? Well, that's 7 tricks right there, right? The 4 side suit aces and kings, and the ace, king, queen of trump. Well, you could get to 10 if you could make all 3 of those winners. How do you make all 3 of those winners if they're not winning just as natural trump tricks after trumps are drawn? You're roughing with them, right? And what are you roughing in your hand? Oh, clubs is the only thing you can rough, right? Okay, well, you might be able to rough a club, rough a club, rough a club. So 2 conditions would need to be in place for that to work, right? What's one condition? Left-hand opponent has to follow all those clubs, right? Now we know they have something in clubs because that's what they led. We say king, whether it was king or whether it was small, they could have some length in the club suit. Now, if it's just something like, if it's king, queen, jack, just those 3 cards, this won't work, right? We need, because the ace is going to win the first club, and then we need to be able to rough 3 times and not get over roughed. And we know if they run out of clubs, we're getting over roughed, right? Because jack and 10 are over there that are bigger than the 8. So, all right. So we need the hand on our left with 4 trumps to also have 4 clubs. That's condition 1.
Or if they trump, person on the left trumps, you could then pull his other 3.
Well, the problem is if they trump once, they've scored a trump, right? We can't afford to lose. We cannot afford to lose a trump trick, generally speaking, right? The only way we could afford to lose a trump trick is if they weren't roughing one of our winners, right? So yeah, so we really can't afford to lose a trump trick, at least not until we have taken our 10 tricks. So the other thing is, if we want to rough these clubs, we have to be in the dummy to do it, right? We can't rough in hand unless we can lead something from the board, which means we have to reach the board first. So if we're going to rough 3 clubs, we've got to be in dummy 3 times, right? Well, the opening lead was the club, right? And we said we won the ace. So we're in dummy at trick 1. So we have an exact line of play that we want to follow that guards against a 4-0 break the wrong way. So at trick 1, we're winning the ace of clubs, right? So what should we do at trick 2?
Lead a club.
All right, let's lead a club right away. Rough a club in our hand. I mean, we're already there, right? So might as well do it. Now, on a lot of hands, I wouldn't suggest this kind of thing, right? Because it can be a really bad idea. I can tell you how many times I see people immediately rough in hand and start shortening themselves up and then give themselves a problem. But here, you should do it once. All right. Now, after you rough 1 club in your hand, what are you going to do?
Draw a trump.
You're going to lay down the ace of spades. Because if you find out if both opponents follow, you have nothing else to worry about, right? If both opponents follow, then trumps are either 2-2 or 3-1, and you're fine, right? even going back to our initial assessment, our lazy assessment, when the dummy first came down and we saw the opening lead and, and assessed what was going on with the hands, we knew right away that if trumps were 2-2 or 3-1, we were fine, right? Because we'd be able to draw all our trumps and get our side suit winners and have nothing to worry about. Okay. Well, that's still in play, and that is still likely, right? I mean, I think we're talking about 97 or 98% chance somewhere in there that trumps are either 2-2 or 3-1 because the 4-0 break is rare. So when you lay down that big trump, you're going to find out if you have to adopt Plan B or not, right? Or Plan B or Plan C, I guess, since we conceivably have 3 different plans depending on where the 4 trumps are when they break 4-0. Okay, so you lay down the ace of spades, and you may not have anything to worry about. All right, but let's say you lay down the ace of spades at trick 3, and in fact, it's East who shows out of spades, the worst possible scenario, right? All right, what should we do at trick 4 then?
Get back to your hand.
You are in your hand right now.
Get back to the dummy with the diamond or the diamond ace or the heart.
Okay,
king.
you will need to get to dummy to because you're going to need to try and rough 2 more clubs, right? We've used the deuce to rough a club. We still have the 8 and 5 when we need to try and make those winners. All right. Now, one